The Antarctic continent reflects most of the sun's light instead of absorbing it. So in the wintertime, the size of this continent actually doubles because the surrounding seawater freezes. Antarctica is in fact the coldest, driest, windiest, and highest continent on planet Earth. Looks hard to believe, but it's actually the sharp, dry winds that carve these mountains of ice into beautiful sculptures. Some of these ice sculptures are as big as castles. These ice sculptures float along the surface of the ice-cold waters. But below the water's surface is a very mysterious world. They may look small from above, but almost the entire iceberg is actually free of penguins. Antarctica is truly the land of the penguins, with 17 different species here. Look, there's one of the most common ones. This is the Adelie penguin, and he's easy to tell apart from the other types of penguins because he always looks like he's wearing a tuxedo suit and ready for a night on the town. The Gentoo penguin is slightly larger. They have bright red-orange bills and a white patch behind their eyes. You might have trouble finding our next penguin friend. The emperor penguins are found in Antarctica, though rarely seen. Distinguished by the yellow coloring behind their ears and on their upper breast. And the chin straps, well, I think the name says it all. Penguins are often seen atop islands and beaches, waddling around comically. Ready, set, go. These Adelie penguins rush the water and it's a race to the finish line. It's too dangerous for penguins to dive alone, so they always try to use the buddy system. When in pairs, it's easier to distract predators who might be looking for a snack. Although penguins are technically birds, they certainly can't use their little wings to fly, as much as they wish they could. Instead, penguins use their wings as flippers, gliding fast and gracefully through the freezing ocean waters. With these underwater wings, penguins can swim as fast as 12 miles an hour. Did you know that as penguins travel underwater, they hold their breath? So every few feet, they leap out of the water to grab a breath of fresh air. This action is called porpoising, named after, you guessed it, the porpoise. Aside from a few fun acrobatics, penguins are primarily hunting for food when they venture into the freezing waters. Penguins can dive as deep as 230 feet in about half a minute. After filling their bellies with fish, krill, and squid, they quickly spring out of the deep waters and onto the safety of dry land. If they stay in the water too long, they just might become food for someone else. Not to mention, it's cold in there. On land, penguins are much clumsier than they are in the water, waddling across the rugged terrain. Penguins are pretty good at sliding downhill too, using their back tails like snowshoes on steep inclines. Emperor penguins like using their bellies as a toboggan to go down hillsides or slide across flat stretches of land. Looks like fun, huh? The slick ice makes it easy for them to paddle along quickly. Without maps, don't you wonder how they're able to keep from getting lost out here in the Great White? Was that a right or a left back there? Penguins have one mission: to make it back to camp with their bellies full of food to where their little chicks are hungry and waiting. Tell each other apart. That's why they rely on unique noises and special penguin calls to recognize each other. During courting rituals, or when a male penguin is looking for a mate, they also use other body motions, such as waving their heads and flippers. Once a pair of Adelie or Gentoo penguins mate, they build a little nest where the mommy will lay 1 or 2 large eggs. First, they carve a little ditch and then fill it with rocks to keep the egg dry. Ooh, that looks like a good rock. Then it's up to both the parents to keep the eggs safe and warm until the babies hatch about 35 days later. This couple is probably on their honeymoon. Although there's not too much to do in Antarctica, The male entertains himself with his belly sliding, while the mom-to-be patiently waits in her gestation period, which will take about 2 months before she's ready to lay her egg. Emperors work as a close mom and dad team, taking turns as one incubates the egg and the other goes out for food. It's a long, hard winter until the little chicks are born. Little penguin chicks are born with only one light fur coat and must keep close to their mothers at first to stay warm. Heads first. As one parent keeps the chicks safe, the other dives for food and brings it back for the little one to eat. No forks or knives needed. These hungry babies eat straight out of their parents' mouth. In about 3 or 4 weeks, the baby penguin has grown in some fur, and by spring it will boast a thick gray coat. This bunch of Adelie chicks have grown bellies too, and it looks like they're still hungry. Sometimes chicks get confused and can't tell their own parent from the rest, but they'll chase down whoever might have food. Hey, does anyone know who these kids belong to? Of course, sometimes parents can't find their own kids either. Hands off, mister. Get your own chick. Looks like this Gentoo family was properly reunited. Young chicks, don't leave your chick alone too long. There's always a hungry skua bird waiting for its afternoon snack. Unfortunately, once the baby is caught, there's nothing poor mom and dad can do to help the little chick. For penguins, the best way to survive danger is to simply avoid it. A penguin's only real defense is its little beak, and that will almost always end up on the losing end of a battle. Ever wondered why penguins are born wearing this natural tuxedo? No, it's not because they are constantly looking for the next party. This black and white coloration is actually a camouflage system. On land, the penguins' dark feathers help disguise them from seabirds above. In the water, penguins use their white bellies to blend in with the reflective water surface, keeping them out of view of hungry sea mammals. But camouflage isn't always enough to survive the cold, cruel Antarctic kingdom. Named for the distinctive black spots along their white throats, the mighty leopard seals are known as the most ferocious seal in Antarctica. On land, they may seem pretty tame, lying around napping and enjoying the sunlight. But underwater is another story. They're long to 10 feet long and weigh up to 700 pounds. Their dark gray bodies are long and smooth, built for underwater speed and power. Antarctica also has a food chain, which is an essential part of the natural cycle of life. A food chain is a system that allows one species to feed off of another in order to survive. Leopard seals are in fact so powerful that they even eat other seals. The friendly-faced Weddell and crab-eater seals are a challenging but tasty prey. Unlike the mean leopard seals, Weddell seals are not aggressive towards humans. Quite the contrary. They are like big, blubbery puppy dogs, toting around their smiley whiskers. You can always tell a Weddell from other seals because it simply plops down anywhere and falls asleep on its back. Obviously a lot fatter and rounder, Weddells love laying around catching some Z's after a good meal. You might think a crab-eater seal gets his name from eating crab, but actually, they don't eat crab. They love to eat pounds of krill, which are tiny marine crustacean resembling a shrimp. Crab-eater seals have rows of interlocking teeth that strain the krill from the water, and they're happy to show them off with a good snort. These seals eat more krill than all the baleen whales put together. By summertime, crab eaters have eaten enough to just lay around sunbathing their bellies. But their tan looks silvery gray or nearly white, especially right after a good molt. That's molt, not malt, silly. Molting is when animals shed their skin. In shallower waters along the coastlines, humpback whales like to travel and hunt in large groups called pods. Their enormous flippers make them easy to spot as they show off their acrobatic talents. These whales got their name humpback, thanks to the high arch of their backs when they dive or breach. Like dolphins, humpbacks love to leap out of the water with the force of their powerful flukes. Of course, they don't quite keep the same slender figure as dolphins, so when they come down, it's with a thunderous splash. Humpbacks can reach lengths of 40 to 50 feet long and can weigh as much as 40 to 50 tons. Believe it or not, these enormous creatures are very gentle and playful. These whales mate during the summer, and it will be almost a full year until the female gives birth to a little calf. Not a cow, silly. Calf is also the name used for a baby whale. Antarctica is towering with huge, steep glaciers. A glacier is a slow-moving mass of ice. It's formed by snow that has gathered and become compacted between mountains. Can you imagine if all this ice melted? Well, it's already started to because of the effects of global warming. In order to keep this wilderness alive and these animals able to roam uncaged, we all need to play our part in being kind to our environment and helping to make a difference. As the sun begins to set on Antarctica, it's time to wrap up this adventure and playful penguins. Thanks for joining us as we journeyed above and below a continent wilder than any zoo on Earth. Take wonder in wildlife, the way it was meant to be.